on Adult Swim Sunday Special. A very special Lucy, the Daughter of the Devil.
Hey, I just want to say sorry about calling so late last night. But I drank 4 apple teenies. And
Dad, I can't really talk right now.
but you ever had one? They're because they're delicious.
No.
Fresh apple.
No.
Apple vodka.
No.
Apple schnapps.
No.
Celebrate specialness with Lucy, the Daughter of the Devil. Sunday at 11:45 on Adult Swim.
Welcome back to Owls Only, an Adult Swim podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Hope, and service is not about speed, it's about power. I'm here with my...
Shut up.
Okay.
And I'm Alex. I was just going to say Alex at the start as soon as you press record, but...
That was one of my favorite jokes in this when...
off to a great start. There we go.
When Jesus was just like he's just like, service is not about speed, it's about power. And then like Judas is like, oh, that's so deep, man. And like
nothing.
It's just absolute fucking nonsense. So we're talking about Lucy, Daughter of the Devil. This is part 2 of our Loren Bouchard miniseries in like a lead up to the Bob's Burgers movie. And
It's a good show.
it is a very good show.
We watched this one in college.
Yes, we did. This is like the biggest departure tonally from like any other of Loren Bouchard's works. Especially like, I think Bob's Burgers, which is an amazing show that I love, but I do think one thing that Bob's Burgers does that they've said they do this is that they've made it a lot more like kid friendly as it goes on, where Bob's Burgers is much more of like a family show that says like kind of PG-13 things sometimes.
Yeah.
Whereas this was like dark as shit. And like
It was funny as hell.
it was funny. There's still that kind of like Loren Bouchard, like H. John Benjamin humor at the center of it. But I think this was like a huge departure tonally, because like a lot of this was just like straight up horror.
Yeah.
Like
There's definitely like horror themes at least.
yeah, like all the stuff with like the school for girls and like the fucking worms underneath the priest's skin and shit.
Yeah,
That was fucking sick.
And
And
the later half of the show though.
yeah, I think they do mess with it in the first half though, with like Lucy's like dog and stuff telling her date to kill himself and
That's
stuff like
true,
that.
Yeah.
Oh, so I am going to get into the show, but before I do that, I want to do 2 segments that we haven't really done in a long time. Well, the first one we've only done once. I'm going to try to recap Animation Domination for you.
Yeah, go for it.
So there was a special Animation Domination. There was no Bob's Burgers. Instead, they'd had an episode of Housebroken. So
The hell's that?
it's a show about pets in group therapy.
Oh, you told me about this.
I'll get into it when I get there. But so first episode was The Simpsons, and it was a quarantine episode. They did the quarantine episode 3 years after quarantine.
Oh, I thought you were, for a second I was like, oh, is it a rerun?
No. It was like they did a quarantine episode. I actually think it was kind of funny. It was like the main plot was that Maggie can't stop putting ranch dressing on everything, and Flanders has like a super fortified basement full of like everything, and so like Homer and Marge have to steal ranch dressing from Flanders. And like, because like what the quarantine was, it's not like COVID, it's like these caterpillars and stuff that just like swarm the town. And then
Okay.
I don't know, like Lisa gets like shrunken down and hangs out with her Malibu Stacy's, or like she imagines that because she's like stressed out about like quarantine. And like Bart and like his friends Bart and his friends like help Skinner get rid of like this relative that's staying in his house, and they do it over Zoom and stuff. Like whatever, it was fine.
It's probably a little dated at this point.
Yeah,
but
it wasn't
fun.
bad. I think it would be really funny if it came out in like 2021.
Yeah, I haven't thought about quarantine in like 2 years.
Fucking So then was The Great North, and I'm going to be honest, I kind of was on my phone for most of that episode. I think what was going on was there was like a because like the characters in that show are like Bob's Burgers if they were Alaskan fishers. And so the episode was about like a fish vending machine, I think, and they were trying to like stop the fish vending machine, and then it was like a cover up for like them selling illegal shit over the ocean or something like that.
Okay.
And there was also firefighters involved in the B plot. I wasn't paying attention to that
Sounds
B
more
plot.
like an American Dad episode.
There was firefighters involved. And then there's Family Guy. And the Family Guy one was so Family Guy it was the season finale, the season 21 finale, and these last two episodes they've been doing an arc where Meg gets married to a guy in Russia and starts living in Russia because she's hot there. That's like the actual reason why. And
Jesus Christ.
so this episode was about like Meg in Russia, and then Chris and Principal Shepard were shooting pornos inside the school. And so that was just like the two plots
that
there.
That actually sounds funny.
Yeah, and then at the end, Meg comes back to America because her husband was just trying to get like a green card visa so you could get into America. And then, but there's also like a plot device where if you criticize Russia, they shoot you with poison darts. And so Meg, after finding out this guy is going to like he calls her like an American pig. So she takes his phone, American cow, I think. She takes his phone and just starts tweeting like, I don't think Putin's body is all that impressive. I don't think red tracksuits are that great. And he just gets like murdered by the Russian secret police. And then on to the last show of the night was Housebroken, the Therapy Pets show. And oh fuck! What was going on in Housebroken? I think they got the owners got the two main dogs a new doghouse, and they let the raccoon throw a party in it. But then the raccoon got taken to the woods because he got caught by animal control, and there was like another subplot where like this bitch cat like gets shaved and becomes like a hairless cat, and then like falls in love with another hairless cat, and then has to
What do you mean by bitch cat?
she was just like, her character is just that she's like a snooty bitch.
Okay.
She's like a Persian or something. Her character is just that she's like a bitch. And so she falls in love with like this other hairless cat, and they have to and then she has to like conceal the fact that she's actually
Not a
like
hairless cat.
not a hairless cat.
That's actually funny.
And then there's also a plot with the cat that's voiced by Norville from Velma. He's like a fat orange fucker, and he starts like living with this. He like switches owners to like his first owner, and that guy has like a fucking dude tied up in the basement that he's torturing and stuff. And shit, like it's an interesting show, but like Housebroken is very interesting to me because it doesn't follow like the molds of a lot of animated cartoons in the sense that, I mean, there's two main characters with the two main dogs, but everyone else, like, their plotline changes out based on the episode. So, like, there's a corgi who's, like, my favorite character on the show, and she's, like, really fucking funny, but she did not do anything in this episode, because sometimes, like, they'll just switch out which side characters get to have a plot.
Don't need 'em.
Yeah, they'll switch out which side characters get to have a plot, which I think that's interesting. Like, I think it's an interesting way to run your show. I think they just introduced their Sideshow Bob a couple months ago. I think
What do you mean by that?
like a villain,
Like recurring funny
like,
villain.
like a villain that they set up will probably come back.
Okay.
Like, does Family Guy have one? I guess the giant chicken,
I was gonna say the chicken or the monkey's not a villain. He's just he's a gag.
Bertram, fucking Stewie's brother Bertram, voiced by the dinosaur from Toy Story.
Okay, so I'm being honest with you. I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't remember Bertram, dude, from the
What
class
seasons?
like the big ones I remember are the one where he's just like in Peter's nutsack and like Stewie's in there too because he's trying to stop them from having a kid, and he like meets Bertram and stuff, and they get into like a fight.
Zero idea.
And then there's another one where Bertram, because Bertram eventually turns into a real person after Peter donates sperm. So it's like him, Bertram, and Brian go back in time and they meet like Leonardo da Vinci, who's just like the adult Stewie design, but like with Leonardo da Vinci hair. And it's and like Bertram's trying to kill him.
Idea what you're talking
You don't know Bertram,
I'm so serious.
the main villain of Family Guy Back to the Multiverse for PS3 and Xbox 360.
No, I've never
I
played it.
spit on you.
Okay, dude.
So
I think the chicken.
fuck. What about James Woods? James Woods might be that too.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we're talking about Lucy, Daughter of the Devil.
Yeah.
So we watched the original pilot first because there's an original pilot and there's like the real pilots on like streaming. And is the show stream? I don't know if the show's streaming or not. It might be. It's on streaming and it's on like the DVD and stuff. But the original pilot has two differences. A couple different. It has some different scenes and stuff. But the two big ones are like Lucy, instead of being voiced by Melissa from Home Movies, she's voiced by a woman named Jessie Klein. I looked her up. She's done a bunch of like just general like comedy stuff. Her like biggest role is that she's like a main character on Big Mouth, I think. Just like basic like comedy stuff like that. And also, they have the intro for that episode is H. John singing "Man-Eater" in like his falsetto voice.
Yeah, I couldn't remember that.
I
didn't remember that, and that's when I realized we were watching something different.
Yeah, this is also another Adult Swim show that does different openings because I love when Adult Swim shows have different openings for every episode. Like this does it, Perfect Hair Forever does it, Gemuseru does it. There are other examples that I'm not remembering. Oh, I mean, Aqua Teen does it at the end on like a season by season basis, so they change each intro of the season. But like, I just love that trope when Adult Swim does it, where they make their intro for every episode different.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is fun. I love it. But this is kind of like a big. This, you can kind of tell in the music of this show that this is very much without the Brendan Small influence, because the Brendan Small influence on Home Movies, there's a lot of like heavy guitar in Home Movies and a lot of like electric guitar and stuff like that.
I didn't notice much of that with this. I didn't think about it, but now that you mention it.
This is a lot closer to the Bob's Burgers style, with just like the ukulele and H. John doing like his falsetto voice.
Yes.
Because like half of all Bob's Burgers songs are H. John doing the same voice that he does for like every intro in this show. And they also have the keyboard, like in the first episode, I think later on too, Satan has like the same keyboard that Gene has that makes the exact same, like that very stock, like dog barking sound, and like the little like Casio keyboard, like little stuff, like the little musical notes, which is what is like replaces the Fox fanfare in the Bob's Burgers movie.
Sorry.
But yeah, so they do that. It's very, I think musically, this is a lot closer to what Bob's Burgers is than what Home Movies was, because Home Movies is very Metalocalypse, or like more like Doomstar or Galacticon-y in its like music, whereas this is much more that like Bob's Burgers style.
Yeah, at one point they even had Satan voiced by Bob playing the ukulele.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is also another Loren
I said
Bouchard
voiced by Bob.
Yeah, but yeah.
I meant voiced by H. John.
Another Loren Bouchard show that stars H. John Benjamin as one of the main characters, because he's the son in Dr. Katz. I'm sure he's in Science Court. He's obviously McGurk and Jason in Home Movies, and he's Satan and Judas and one of the fathers.
So he is Judas. Okay,
Yes.
That's what I thought.
He's Satan and Judas and one of the fathers in this. So a big thing that people talk about with H. John Benjamin is...
wait.
Go ahead.
You forgot from the pilot they didn't have Mary, Sister Mary.
Oh, yes. They did not have Sister Mary in that pilot. They just had like a random like guy with an eye patch that just like didn't speak.
Yeah.
This is what was it? Oh, it's talking about H. John Benjamin and like this show. So a big thing about H. John Benjamin is his people who are wrong and stupid say that he has no versatility, but I think that couldn't be farther from the truth, because I think that even when he's using like his normal voice,
Do people say that?
yeah, every voice is distinct. Like I think McGurk, Bob, and Archer, like they have the same voice, but they sound nothing alike.
I get what you mean. He's because he's a good actor.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
He puts personality into his voice.
I think that here he probably sounds closest. I think this is his closest to like Archer, I would say.
I agree.
Like this, and when he plays the Master in Venture Brothers, those are kind of like his Archer voice, whereas like the McGurk and Bob voices are very different. But also, speaking of Archer, the only time probably a show has ever been referenced in another TV show is there's an episode of Archer where they go to the Vatican, and Lana asks Archer if he did any preparation, and he's like, yeah, I just watched all of Lucy, Daughter of the Devil, and like that's all he's like, it's like vastly underrated or something like that.
That's funny as fuck.
Yeah, I think that's the only time they reference, like, I thought it's the only time another show references Lucy. But
That's cool.
yes, it is. So let's see, go through my fucking notes here. The second I knew this show was going to be the second I knew this show was good was in like the first episode when Satan is just like fucking like the Lucy's mom, who we never actually meet, and she's like hooves and just like shit like that. It's like
funny.
Because
That's in the first like minute of the show.
Yeah, it's such like a thing that's in, because like Loren Bouchard said that this entire show is inspired by his love of like 70s like horror movies, and a lot of those are based out of like, nuns and Satan and like demon babies and shit like that, which is like what a lot of this show is based out of.
Yeah.
And I think it's so funny, like it's such a good Adult Swim twist on that, like you take something that's like, something horrifying in like most horror movies, like a woman having sex with the devil to like make the Antichrist, and you just make it about like awkward bad sex. Yeah. I think that's such
he's sorry, you finished that.
No, it's such a perfect encapsulation of like kind of like the Adult Swim style of just like taking these tropes and just being genuinely like funny with them, and like how it would actually be in that scenario. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's a funny ass scene. At one point she's like, no, it's fine. He's like, I'm gonna go get a glass of water, and he just like gets up and leaves.
He just like gets up and leaves. On my notes here is, I think because there's a scene where they're on like a plane, like the priests are on a plane in the first episode, and they talk about Legally Blonde 2. I bring this up because apparently James Urbaniak is in that movie. I think it's Legally Blonde 2. I'm not 100% sure.
He voicing this?
No, he's not in this. He's he's Dr. Venture, but apparently he plays like a scientist or something in that movie. But
He's a scientist in Legally Blonde 2?
Apparently.
I haven't seen that movie in like 10 years.
Anyways, so also I think in the pilot that they pitch Satan's voice down. I think they also might pitch it down a little bit for the entire show, because it does seem like a little bit like distorted and like deeper than H. John normally goes.
I didn't catch that.
I really
watch a lot more H. John than me, though.
I really heard it in the first episode, and there are certain parts I could hear it throughout the rest of the series, but it's also possible that they are just like very slightly fucking with the audio throughout the whole show, because this show fucks with the visuals and the audios a lot.
Yeah, it's very distorted.
It's very distorted. It's very like trippy and like creepy, and the show does something that the early Metalocalypse episodes did, where they have like the black bars on the top and bottom, even though it's technically 4x3.
Oh, yeah.
And they use that because in Metalocalypse, it's just like always like that, and they never like break it. But like in this show, they use that for really good effect, because like when they want something creepy to happen, like Lucy's dog telling her boyfriend to kill himself, like his head starts like, distorting, and it comes out of the frame, like it's like a 3D effect, like it's coming at you.
I didn't catch that, but no, that's true.
And they do that like the whole show, where like whenever they want to do something like creepy or like mess with it, like they will have the characters come out of like the frame they're supposed to be in and come like at you, which I think is fucking awesome.
The show is a lot different. I didn't realize that it was even a Loren Bouchard show, honestly, until you started talking about it in preparation for this.
Yeah.
Like, I knew it had H. John in it, but it's good. It's a lot different from home movies and Bob's Burgers.
It's so different because, like, there's almost a lot of home movies and Bob's Burgers. They share, like, similar themes, too. They share with, like, there's a lot of, like, both shows have like a group of like 3 kids that are always up to stuff, and it's about like, people being poor and stuff like that. It's about like creativity, like Brendan's creativity with like his movies, and like Bob's creativity with like his burgers and stuff like that. And they're like those 2 shows share a lot of like thematic similarities, and there really isn't too much of that here. A lot of it. Yeah. This show is very much, it's almost kind of like a cross between, obviously both these shows came after this show, but it reminded me a lot of both Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell and of course Little Demon when that came out.
I was gonna say that.
Because like
both of those shows are really good in their own right.
Yes, Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell is a lot about like Satan's business dealings, which this is also about too.
And it's also where a lot of the like in the horror direction that they just like in the direction they decide to go with the horror. A lot of it feels Your Pretty Face like.
Yeah.
Like when he's like fucking with them in their dreams and stuff. Like
Yeah.
that feels like a Your Pretty Face gag.
Also, this is another Adult Swim Satan, because there are many Adult Swim Satans. I know there's like the two, like there's this one and there's the one in Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell. There's fucking Alfred Molina in Rick and Morty. He's Doc Ock. Doc Ock plays the devil
Nice,
in Rick and
that's
Morty.
cool.
It's the episode with the
shack.
yeah,
Not the shack. The shop.
Yeah, the little shop. Doc Ock plays the devil.
I never knew that. That's cool.
Yeah, fuck. There are so many Adult Swim devils. Like Satan, they never show Satan in Aqua Teen, but he's always off screen. And there's a Satan in Space Ghost, and it's just like an image of Yogi Bear they added a bunch of bullshit to.
That's funny.
Oh god, I'm sure there's like Satan's and Family Guy and stuff, and there's gotta be, there's the Antichrist and American Dad. Like there's so many Adult Swim Satans. This is like
The Antichrist and American Dad's fucking hilarious.
I love the Antichrist and American Dad. This is another Adult Swim Satan. But yeah, this show you got something?
Yeah, this is gonna be like a stupid comment, but like this show is just a show where like things happen. Like it feels like the show progresses, the plot progresses, but it feels like the writers just wanted to like reference stuff.
Yeah,
which is cool. It's just it does depart from like the creative theme that you're talking about that home movies and Bob's Burgers have.
A lot of the show is about like the two main things the show is about is like Satan's business dealings with like his like Chili's style restaurant that they're always at, and like the
relationship with his daughter.
Yeah, the dildo factory. Another thing too is him trying to kill Jesus. Like those are the two big like threads of the plot line. And I also love that whenever him and Jesus get together, they immediately become like best buds.
Yeah, they're just buds.
Like whenever they get together, they just start hanging out because it's so fun.
It's almost a show about like a dad who like wasn't ready for his daughter to like move on past him, but then he ends up actually really liking her boyfriend.
Yeah, even though he still tries to kill him up to like the last episode.
But like that's like if you take away all of the like
all of
the extra stuff, that's what the show's about.
Yeah. So this has an amazing cast. So H. John Benjamin, like I said, plays Satan. He plays Judas. He plays one of the fathers. Melissa plays obviously Lucy, and they pitch her down so she can play Becky, the Devil's Advocate.
That's my favorite character.
Love Becky.
I love Becky.
Becky's so funny. They also have Sam Cedar, who's the political commentator guy, who's he's Fenton in home movies, and he's Hugo in Bob's Burgers, and he is the senator here.
I was gonna say he's got to be the senator, right?
He's the senator, and he's also one of the fathers as well. I think the one that doesn't talk as much, like the tall blonde one.
Okay.
And then of course Eugene Merman, who obviously will go on to be Yevgeny and Delocated and Gene on Bob's Burgers. He is the Sister Mary, and I think that is literally the entire cast.
Yevgeny?
Yeah, he's Yevgeny.
Nice.
Because I fucking love Yevgeny. I think everything Yevgeny says in Delocated is fucking hilarious.
Next time we hang out, we need to watch more Delocated.
I agree.
We need to do a Delocated episode.
Yeah, we need to do a Delocated episode. The two bad cars don't run on vodka.
We should do a season by season for that one.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to do a few of those. I love that show.
I fucking love Delocated. And also, here, John Glazer. That's the one I was missing. John Glazer plays Jesus. And John Glazer obviously is John for Delocated. He's Neon Joe. He's fucking Hoop on Stroker and Hoop, or maybe Stroker. I think he's Stroker. He's Stroker on Stroker and Hoop.
What accent did Jesus have in this?
I don't know.
It was just like an accent. It was just like vague accent.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what accent he had.
They just did a bunch of accents in this show. It was funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of Italian accents, I think, because a lot of it is like that
Pope stuff.
There's a lot of Pope stuff. There's a lot of that.
Well, the Pope was German.
Yeah, the Pope was German for some reason, which I thought was funny.
Well, I know the popes are from different countries, but I don't know who the Pope was when they made this.
Yeah, this also, we should say, this is, the pilot aired in 2005. This was a 2007 show.
I'm figuring this out. You talk.
So, another thing I noticed was that the only credits she had, I think, were making the intro sequences. It could be wrong, but Nora Smith is credited in the show as making the intro sequences. And that's interesting to me because Nora Smith is the daughter of Pete Smith. And if you know who Pete Smith is, he's the guy who's like behind like half of...
He was German.
Okay, he's the guy who's behind like half of the network's promos around this. Up until like 2017, Pete Smith, he was like co-creator of The Brack Show. He's a big Space Ghost guy, and he just like made like promo after promo for Adult Swim, and so he's so important to like the history of this network that every year they have Pete Smith Day,
Cool.
but like his daughter Nora worked on this, and then she follows Loren over to Bob's Burgers, and she's like a major creative voice on that show, and she's like a huge part of like the writing team and
She's
stuff.
still with it?
Yeah, because she was a huge part of the writing team for the Bob's Burgers movie.
Oh, cool.
So on Pete Smith Day, typically what they do is they'll play like Bob's Burgers and the Brack Show with all his different promos in between there, because it's sort of like the two, because like his kid obviously worked on Bob's Burgers and he did the Brack Show. So that was very interesting seeing her do like she did like the title sequences. I didn't see any other like credits from her, but I probably could have missed some. But it was
Title sequence on the show is cool.
yes, every title
I
sequence,
loved all of them.
so fun. I love the one with the marshmallows too, when they're just like they got the little face on it. But
Marshmallows?
there was like the marshmallows and they were like burning it. You remember?
Those were marshmallows?
Yeah.
Oh,
They're marshmallows.
that's my fault.
But I remember, I think it was someone, I don't know who it was, but someone, I think it's someone important, like an executive said they got sold on, it was someone who picked up Bob's Burgers. It was someone at Fox who picked up Bob's Burgers saying they actually wanted to make a show with him based on this, which is interesting. Apparently an executive at Bob's Burgers saw the conversation from this show where like the devil's like, can you get you a size 10? And she's like, I'm a size 6, and he's like really?
And then it's too small for the rest of the show.
Yeah, and
that's the funniest part of
I didn't
that.
even notice that.
I didn't notice it, but they like pointed it out. Like
Oh.
one of the characters said something about it.
Oh, I'm stupid. I didn't even notice that.
No,
But
no, so it's like her like boobs are popping out the entire show. Like
Yeah.
it's like a visual gag they do for the whole show.
But apparently that whole like scene was so funny that like one of the executives at Fox was like, we need to get like Bob's Burgers going. But well, you know about like the Bob's Burgers cannibal stuff, right?
Well, I was about to say, it actually, if you know that about Bob's Burgers, this doesn't feel so far out of place.
Yes, because I think this was kind of like a bit of like his edgier phase here. I think he said that because like Adult Swim was so entirely edgy at this point that you really had to have some kind of like big twist, like the Belchers being cannibals, to like really sell your show. And that's kind of like where he started from, because obviously the original pitch for Bob's Burgers is that they are cannibals. And have you seen the animatic where it's like Bob and Linda and it's the same actors, and it's like verbatim a scene from the pilot, but like they change a few lines, and instead of cutting up cow meat, they're cutting up people.
You've told me about it.
It's so funny because like Bob finds like a ring for her on like the hand, and like a hand they're cutting up, and then like Linda she gets like a meat cleaver and like cuts the fingers off and slides the ring off, and and like she sees like a pair of like shoes in like the pile of body parts and takes it out, and Bob's like, put her feet down, and just stuff like that.
They reference the cannibal thing in the pilot, in the real pilot, and then
Yeah.
they never do anything else again.
Yeah,
right?
because it's the pilot is them getting steak of a human flesh, but that's next week's episode.
Ah, right.
I just want to talk about Bob's Burgers so much, but
Well, the funniest part about that is that I'm not going to be on the Bob's Burgers episode.
yeah. But I also
We're
noticed
doing a Guardians episode tomorrow, right?
probably, I don't know. It depends. We'll probably get out pretty late. It depends on what time we get out.
All right.
We might record one like on Friday or something if you want to. If you want to stay
bet.
over,
No, it'll be fun.
just so we can have like an emergency one to release while I'm at the beach.
Okay, bet.
Fucking. So they mentioned when Jesus is at the Burning Man festival, they mentioned like a podcast, which is kind of funny because podcasts.
I was going to ask you about that. I was like, were they doing podcasts in 2007?
It was like right around the genesis of podcasts was when this happened, which was interesting.
So then it would have been like hipster bullshit.
Yes, which is the joke.
When they made the reference.
Yeah. I absolutely love the backgrounds in this show. I think the backgrounds are amazing.
Oh, yeah, they're cool.
The backgrounds are so a lot of, especially when they're inside, a lot of the backgrounds are like just images they take and they distort them to make them look all creepy.
Yeah.
Like some of the ones like I remember the most are like Satan's office, Lucy's apartment, like everywhere inside.
This apartment is creepy.
I love it. It's so creepy.
Yeah.
It's so empty feeling too. It really does feel like an apartment you would have like in your 20s, but like in a nightmare.
Yeah. I feel like the distortion gets worse as the show goes on too, but I don't know if I was just
It might be. It might.
noticing that or not.
I also the interior of the school for girls is like all their story backgrounds, and also like the back room at like the Chili's type restaurant with like the washing machine and stuff. Like that's that's definitely a real picture that they fucked up with.
Creepiest thing. This is not related, but the creepiest thing that they do in this show is the meat version of Lucy.
Oh yeah,
I hate that.
the meat version of Lucy. That shit was so fucking cool.
It was cool, but it was
disgusting.
Yeah, it was gross.
It was sick. But I love the Dildo Factory episode where like Lucy just enthusiastically talking about how much she loves masturbating. I don't know if she's actually serious or if she's just fucking with him.
I read that as her fucking with him.
But she goes so far,
and she does it for like the entire episode.
Yeah, because like
she shows up. She's like, "Come on, let me in."
Like initially, I'm like, "Oh, she's fucking with him," but she goes so far with it, where she ends up getting that whole like school killed, the whole group of like little girls killed.
Well, that was a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory reference.
Yeah, oh yeah, the another fucking Willy Wonka another Adult Swim Willy Wonka episode. Plenty of those. There's the Fry and the Slurm Factory in Futurama. There's the Family Guy one with the Pawtucket hat or whatever. That's like an early one. Like there's is there no, there's not a Rick and Morty one. No, there's
I'm kind of surprised there's not.
There's American Dad episode called Jeff and the Dank Ass Weed Factory, where he takes Stan there and Stan gets like mutated. That's a great episode. I love
Jeff and the Dank Ass Weed
Factory. Love Jeff and the Dank Ass Weed Factory. Because he tricks Stan into going with him. But
that's funny.
So yeah, they do the Wonka parody. Yeah, the opening's just so good.
It was like a 2-second Wonka parody too. Like it wasn't even the whole show. It was just a gag.
It really didn't stay for too long. We got another Adult Swim Teratoma. It's another adults because like there's so many recurring things they do in Adult Swim.
Has there been multiple Teratomas?
Well, the big one is Jonas Jr. from the Venture Brothers.
Is he a Teratoma?
Yeah. Because he's like a teratoma that comes out, but it's like a full guy. That's
funny.
I'm pretty sure they do one on Family Guy too with Peter. Like Peter has like the little Peter head that comes out, and he has like a little body and stuff.
I don't think I've seen that one.
I feel like there's another one too. Like there might be one like a Metalocalypse song. There's a lot of teratomas on Adult Swim. You said this. You said that Terry is just Jason, like Terry the Teratoma.
Yes. What was the voice he was doing?
Yeah, I think he was that, but I think he's like. He added a bit more of a lisp and also somehow made him easier to understand in a way. Like he's a bit more direct, whereas Jason is very like
He's mumbly.
Yeah,
he talks like a kid.
Like Jason talks like a kid. I love when he just drops Terry into the fucking deep fryer and then Lucy feeds him to Jesus, which is insane. They also have a human sacrifice episode where they have like all the elite at Bohemian Grove. I love the backgrounds in that too. It looks awesome. But I love the Bohemian Grove thing because so much as long as Adult Swim has existed, there have been people on the internet claiming they're satanic and they lean into it so hard.
That's funny.
Like they have, because like a huge thing, the reason why this podcast is called Owls Only is because they have a huge owl motif with like all their stuff. And on like the parking garage of William Street, they have like a giant gold owl statue, and people for years, because they put it on like their sign offs and stuff. People for years will like talk about how like the owl is like, you know, they're satanic, that kind of shit. I love it.
Americans are so fucking weird, man.
Americans are so fucking
They're
stupid.
so fucking weird.
So many of this is just me saying another Adult Swim blank, but there's another Adult Swim Eyes Wide Shut, which is another thing where like, it's just, if you've ever seen something in a TV show where there's just, like, a sex orgy where they're all wearing masks, that's in an Eyes Wide Shut. They do that in Moral Laurel. They do it in one of the last episodes of The Venture Brothers. They do it here. I'm sure they do it in, like, American Dad or something. Let's see. What else we got here? Oh, yeah, I love the episode with the pedophile priest getting killed by the vampire altar boys.
Yeah, it was good. They also make a shit ton of jokes about how they're like, we thought it was just one or two churches.
Yeah. You also noticed this in this episode that I never noticed is like there's like a store and it says grow F yourself.
Yeah, it says grow fuck yourself, but the tree's covering everything from the first F to yourself.
That's like exactly the same thing as one of those Bob's Burgers gags.
Yeah, I didn't know what you meant at first, but you mean in the intro when they do like the store next
Yeah,
to
it's like it's the one they change every episode, like the couch gag. But yeah, like the Catholic Church covering up like all like the altar boy scandals, which is funny. Episode 9 is the one with the dream machine. That one's actually kind of fucking scary. Like that
one's freaky.
Like that's the one with like the worms underneath.
It's one of the more creative episodes too.
Yes, it's the one with the worms underneath his skin, and also they like bury Jesus alive and stuff like that.
I'm extremely claustrophobic, so I did not like that.
I fucking because like he doesn't. I love that scene so much because like Jesus doesn't know what's going on, and so he's just like, and he's like, I have like a trick to get out of this, right? And Satan's been like pretending to be his assistant. He turns normal and goes, I sure hope you do, and like shuts the thing on. It was so fucking funny.
I remember that scene from when we watched it the first time.
Yeah. But yeah, I couldn't. The girls episode is also really good. Like the girls' school episode is really good.
Yeah.
For a while, I was confused about whether or not the coach was actually supposed to be Satan or not. If she was just like seeing him in her flashbacks as Satan. But when he like convinces her to like kill all of them, okay, that's probably like the actual Satan then. They also use a fucking slide phone in there, which is funny.
I had a slide phone.
I did not. My mom had a slide phone. I had a flip phone and then an iPhone. I went straight from flip to iPhone. I never had the slide phone.
I never had a flip phone. I only ever had a slide phone.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I had a slide phone then an iPhone.
Yeah.
Because we're young.
Yes. So then the series finale is the episode with the monster, which is great episode.
They actually reference it at the very beginning of the show.
I noticed that too. We're like like I noticed that the first time. We're like they're foreshadowing him being a monster when he just like goes fucking crazy in like the pilot when he.
I asked Bryce. I said, do you think Loren intended for this to be a multi-season show? Because I remember the show wrapping up pretty nicely.
Yeah.
And I think they probably didn't. They referenced the monster at the beginning and then at the end.
I don't know. I think that a lot of Adult Swim shows, this is one of the very few Adult Swim shows that only got one season. There are not many shows like that only get one season. They usually get at least 2, I think. And so I think that this was very interesting because it really only got 1. And I wonder if because this also it's very dry and a lot of it is very horror focused. And while it's funny, but like it's not like Aqua Teen like funny.
It's
so
not constant jokes.
Yeah, so I wonder if like Lazo just wasn't feeling it this time.
It almost felt like Frankenhole at times. It's probably because of the animation style.
A little bit. Frankenhole, yeah, a little. Frankenhole does kind of remind me of that a little bit. Frankenhole is more like I feel like there's a bit more going on in Frankenhole, whereas Lucy will have like long scenes of just like distorted like audio and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is like made to give like little kids nightmares and stuff who like stay up watching Cartoon Network too late, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a good show. I really enjoy this one.
We also find out in the last episode it's set in San Francisco, which is interesting because they were gonna set Bob's Burgers in San Francisco, which is why like it
Where'd they
looks
end up
like
setting
that.
it?
It's in Jersey.
Okay.
And then the last joke is Lucy pretending that she's pregnant, which I think is such a funny fucking joke. Because, like, the entire last scene of the show is, like, a minute long, like no visuals, just the credits. And, like, her and Satan are just screaming at each other about it.
It's a very realistic father-daughter argument.
Yeah.
Like, about, like, a joke.
Yeah. And so it's pretty much we kind of talked the shit out of this show.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not like the longest show, but it's really good.
Yeah, I want to go over like 2 more small things. This is unrelated to Lucy. I got something very interesting today, part of the merch corner thing. I got one of the gifts they gave out to Adult Swim employees at Lazo's retirement party in 2019.
Jesus Christ,
so
dude.
It is a Retro Band is like a action figure company that makes like super like rare action figures, like released like 100 of, and it's a Space Ghost one where it's like Space Ghost, but he's like clear and he's sitting at his desk, and next to him is like the little model of his TV, but on the TV is like the famous like portrait of Lazo, and on the back is like the Space Ghost like off air sign, and the bottom says, is there anything you want to ask about me, anything at all? and it was supposed to, it was given out to people at like Lazo's like retirement party, and I think they also had it at like they had the extras at like Comic-Con or Adult Swim Festival one time or something. But I've always wanted it for a super long time. I got it for a very good price. I'm very happy about it. But so I got that, and then also what's going on tonight is apparently the 350th episode of American Dad.
Are they doing anything?
They're doing. I think the episode is going to be normal, but they're doing like a thing where they're raising like donations to donate to the Trevor Fund, which is really cool.
Oh, cool.
And like, cause like they're doing the
What's
tag.
Trevor Fund? Is that the AIDS thing?
No, it's the LGBT youth thing, I think.
Oh, cool.
And it's under
good.
And they call it they're doing a hashtag called like American Drag or something, because like they have Roger in like drag as like their profile picture right now and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I'm very excited. I'm very excited for fucking American Dad tonight. And yeah, we'll be back. I'll be back next week. You're not gonna be in the Bob's Burgers one, but I'll be back next week.
I'll be here for the movie.
Yeah, you'll be here for the movie. Me and probably Hunter will be here next week to talk about season 1 of Bob's Burgers. Get into like the cannibal stuff. Get into like H. John Benjamin. Get into like Brendan Small coming back to do more Loren stuff and that kind of stuff. So
since I won't be on the Bob's episode, the only thing I would really even have to add to it is the haunted house episode.
Great episode.
Fucking love that episode. I don't watch the reason I'm not on the episode is because I don't watch a whole lot of Bob's Burgers, but I love that episode.
Great episode. That's a great episode. All right.
It's so fun.
So you can follow us on Twitter at OwlsOnlyPod. You can follow us on Instagram at adult_swim_merch_archive. If you want to see the picture of that Lazo Space Coast figure, it's going to be up there by the time this is out.
Oh, that's just you. I don't want to take credit for that one.
Well, you know what I mean. But like by us, I mean the podcast, which is like me and everyone I do it with. But so yeah. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya. Thanks for watching.